for being here. Appreciate it. I know I tell you that every Monday, but I really do. I know there's a lot of things y'all could be doing, so I appreciate y'all being here in Troy with us. Two things I want to hit on before we get rolling, talking about wrapping up the Akron game, previewing LSU. We had an honorary captain at the game on Saturday, 2-year-old, almost 3, Riley Jane MacArthur, and she's undergoing cancer treatment, and really our team was inspired by her story and her fight, and I just want to recognize her. And then second thing today, I know I hit on this 2 weeks ago, Ben Abercrombie, a player from Hoover that was playing at Harvard, and I think his first college football game, was injured and is experiencing some paralysis right now. And that Hoover community is doing a stand-up for Ben today. So I just want our team and our staff, our thoughts and our prayers with him, and want everybody to keep Ben Abercrombie in your thoughts and prayers. So going back to our game on Saturday, I want to thank our fans. I said this after the game, and I meant it. You know, Veterans Memorial Stadium has turned into a really great atmosphere for college football. Privileged during the one good thing about the lightning delay was Coach Bobby Bowden came into the field house to get out of the heat a little bit, and was able to have a conversation with him. And he talked about how much Troy had changed. And you know, he had driven through Troy going from Tallahassee to Birmingham, and how he'd seen the university change, and it has brought some perspective on how far we've come. And the 2 home games we've had, and I think most of you all have been covering Troy for a little while too, is, and I think you would agree with this, is our game day atmosphere has become a complete 180. I mean, this is a great place for college football, and our students, led by our students, but our fans, especially young families. I see a ton of young families taking part in our game day. So appreciate the fans for showing up. You know, the flyover was awesome, and a lot of the pregame festivities. Proud of our guys for finding a way to win. You know, and so many times teams that don't play very well lose the game. That's the way it happens most of the time. And I think for us to win the game when we didn't play very well in any phase shows that we've got a little something about us. I'm not sure we would have won the game a year ago, and we played better football last year than any point we've played so far this year. But we didn't finish games real strong last year, and we've done that now 2 weeks in a row. You know, if you go back through that last final stages and get a stop there on defense, and then take the ball and go 97 yards, is huge. You know, I don't know how many 97-yard game-winning drives there's been in our football history, but I'm going to guess not a whole lot. So I thought Brandon did a great job. We caught the ball. DeAndre made a couple big plays right there down the stretch. I'm going to hit some highs and lows. Special teams, hitting the negatives first. We've had issues place kicking. You know, you all see that. I'm sure I'm going to get questions about that. We missed a PAT for the second week in a row. Missed a 32-yard field goal, which should never happen at this level. And we had 2 penalties take away, one big punt return and another long kickoff return, and we've got to clean that up. The positives are Bratcher Underwood did a tremendous job kicking off. We had 4 touchbacks. They had -1 kickoff return yards for the game, Akron did. And then I thought our kickoff return and our punt return teams did a really nice job, especially our kickoff return. We would have had starting field position well above the 30 on that if it wasn't for 1 penalty. I think we were right at around 27. Defensively, the negatives were we just did not do a very good job getting off the field defensively in the second half. Penalties, I think we extended 4 drives with penalties in the second half. We allowed too many third down conversions, especially 7 plus 7, and we're better than that. That should not happen. And then we just lacked a consistent pass rush. Joe Bridges gave us a little something in the second half, but consistently we have not gotten a good pass rush. The positives are we got 3 takeaways. We went back-to-back weeks without a takeaway. We had 3 takeaways in that game. They only averaged 2.8 yards per carry, and that's a good running back. You know, the ball kid is a good player. And we only allowed 17 points, and I thought red zone defense was the story of the game. You know, we held them to in the red zone, I think, 2 scores out of 5 opportunities, and that's the reason we won the game if you're looking for one statistic. Offensively, we had 7 penalties offensively, poor on third down, and that really is just carries on. It's a lot of self-inflicted wounds. I hit on that after the game. We had 5 drops in the game. And we had 0 points off turnovers. And And we really had an opportunity to blow that game open in the second quarter for the second week in a row, and we just lacked the killer instinct to put a team away. The positives is the 97-yard game-winning drive. That shows the ability that we have. We averaged 6.2 yards per carry, and we had 10 explosive plays. So there's some positives. Hitting the players of the week real quick, and then I'll wrap up the Akron game, move on to LSU. Our special teams player of the week, he played really well on defense as well. Had a key. He made the tackle on the key third down stop before the game-winning drive out of their Wildcat. Was really good on kickoff return. Had a huge tackle on the pooch kick after we scored the touchdown, and that's Andre Flakes as our special teams player of the week. Our defensive player of the week played 81 snaps, had 10 tackles, 2 assists, and had a ton of production points, and that was Darius Rookard. Our offensive lineman, and he's been our most consistent player up front all year, is Kurt Kelly, graded out at 88%, had 6 knockdowns, our most production points at that position as well. Offensively, he had the game-winning touchdown, 7 receptions, 92 yards, and that was DeAndre Douglas. Our scout team players of the week on special teams was Jonathan Ortner. On offense, it was Rodriguez, Bubba Hudson, somebody that we're really excited for. He's got a great potential here as an offensive lineman. And then our scout defense player was Doug Salter from nearby Brantley. Our Nathan Harris Service Award, which we did a lot of community service, and this young man took part in everything that we did last week, and that was Omari Vaughn's. And then our Corey McCullers Spirit Award, which goes to our best guy that provides energy on the sideline. That goes to Luke Whittemore, who's going to have a really good career here as a wide receiver. He's redshirting this year. But just a quick wrap up is it was a good win over a well-coached team. I thought that Coach Bowden had his team ready to go, and Coach Amato did a really good job defensively after the first quarter of doing some things differently. We didn't play very well, but we found a way to win. We have to coach better. We got to play more discipline and moving forward. And we got LSU up next, and LSU looks about like what you would think LSU looks like. I mean, they are what they always are. And that's one of the most athletic teams in the country. Defensively, led by their defensive coordinator, Coach Aranda. He's one of the top defensive coordinators in the country. They're big up front, 3-man front. Coach Pete Jenkins, who's kind of the guru in defensive line plays, come out of retirement to coach those guys and do a great job with their hands. They're really big. They got some guys on the edge. They go about 2 deep at each of those edge outside linebacker types that can rush the passer, led by Arden Key. And then they got some linebackers. They've got a senior named Alexander that's played for a long time, and they've got another kid named Devin White who's extremely active at the linebacker positions. They're young in the secondary, but they're talented, and they can all really run. They play a lot of man coverage. Offensively, Matt Canada's offensive coordinator did a tremendous job at NC State and Pittsburgh before them. Really kind of has been really innovative over the last several years what they're doing offensively, and they put you in a bind with motions and shifts, and they do a really good job. I think the quarterback Edling is playing his best football as we speak. They got the Geist running back is one of the top running backs in the country, if not the best running back in the country. They got a big offensive line. Chark, their number 7, has made a bunch of plays, big balls down the field. Special teams got a lot of speed. We've got to be ready for that. And their kickoff guy is exceptional as with their punter. I think he was an All-SEC performer last year. So our team's excited. We're going to go play in one of the top venues in the country. It's had the privilege to play and coach there, and it's an exciting atmosphere. Our guys are looking forward to it. We've got for us to have a chance to win, we're going to have to play our best game of the year. It doesn't mean we have to play perfect. We just got to play a more complete game than what we've played so far. So with that, I'll open up to questions. Anybody?
How much did the 2008 game help you grow as a coach, play caller?
Probably 0, honestly. You know what I mean? We had a good plan going into that game. We had a chance. We obviously probably should have won the game. They were better than us. Let's not kid ourselves. They were significantly better than us in 2008. You can go back and look. I knew at one time how many NFL players they had on that defense. But our quarterback, Levi Brown, played extremely well. Jarrell Jernigan was one of the best players, if not the best player on the field that day. And what happened in the second half, we just dropped the football. we dropped it, and we weren't able to run the football against them. That's why we threw the ball 71 times. We ran 90-some plays. I think we threw the ball 71 times. It just so happened on our 70th pass, we got called for holding, So we didn't really protect any different than we did the other 70 times, or 69 times, but we got called for holding on the 70th. And we had a chance to get down there and with a chance to potentially win the game. So it's been a long time ago, though.
Do you see any similarities between the two teams from that match? I know it is 10 years ago, but do you see any similarities between the two?
No, not really. They look long and fast on defense, just like they were there. You can go pull LSU every year for about the last 15 years. Really, I guess the first time I ever played against them was 1998, and so however long that 19 years ago, something like that. And to be honest, they look about the same to me every year. Huge guys up front, long pass rushers on the edge, play a lot of man coverage, several NFLers on their defense. It's been that way really ever since I made my first trip down to Death Valley in '98.
You mentioned the way this team has finished the last couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
What goes into that? You said maybe last year that didn't get done. What goes into being able to get to the?
Yeah, well, we have some talent. We have some talent. I think as coaches, we put them in those situations a lot in practice. We practice that 4 minutes. It's called a 4-minute situation against New Mexico State. We practice that situation a lot in spring football and preseason. The 2-minute drill that we executed the other night is I'm a firm believer in using your timeouts when the other team has the ball. I think that's the most efficient way to do business. So we most of our 2-minute our practice situations, are done with 0 timeouts. And if you think about it, if you go back and look at our we had 3 minutes on the clock. If you go back and look at most of our touchdown drives, they hover right around 2 minutes anyway. So we didn't really function any different than we did for the rest of the night. We just caught the ball and executed a little bit better. But we put our guys in that situation a lot, and we got some good players. You know what I mean? Like the way we function those last 2 drives, really honestly, is how we should play most of the time. But we have not done that consistently this year so far.
Nerve factor is going to be out of all these player heads after a lot of them went to Death Valley, Clemson last year, going to Boise already this year?
Well, I think there's always some nerves regardless. I think there's nerves when you go and play any game. I think that's a positive. Our guys are not going to. I don't think they're going to be intimidated. They've all played in tough venues. We've played in several tough ones since I came back as the head coach here, and I think those are opportunities our guys relish. There's some things we got to plan for as far as crowd noise and things like that, but I don't think that our guys will be intimidated by any means.
Talk about playing your best football to face LSU. Just what are some specific things you guys are really going to have to execute to go against?
Yeah, well, I think for us defensively, we got to stop the running game. And, I don't know if we'll stop them, but we've got to limit their big plays. We can't give up big balls over our heads. That's something that we've done a couple times the last 2 weeks. Can't give up big balls over our head, and we've got to tackle. Offensively, we've got to hold on to football. The speed of the game is going to be so much different than what we've experienced through our first 4 games, and that's even with Boise. Boise is a really good defense, but they don't have the ability to run like LSU. So our guys on offense are going to get hit from the side and from behind more so than they have at any point this year. So we've got to do a good job holding on to the football, and we've got to generate ways to run it. If they can just pin their ears back and rush the passer, we're going to struggle.
Does it affect how you throw it too? You guys were very aggressive. You threw the ball down the field a lot Saturday night.
Mm-hmm.
May not be enough. That kind of time gets short there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we won't be able to protect these guys as well as we protected Akron. Or really as well as we've protected the guys we played so far this year. I mean, this is the best pass rushing team that we'll play all year. Okay, and that's no disrespect to anybody else in our league. That's just the way it is. They've got They got Arden Key, who may be the #1 pick in the draft. They've got another kid, number 4, who's a true freshman that'll be a future first-round pick. They've got Corey Thompson, who they list as a linebacker that I think they go to a speed package and they play him on the field side, defensive end, and he's got jets coming off the edge. So they've got several guys that can really rush the passer. We've done a really good job in even this year, but in the past as well, is getting the ball out of our hands. That's probably one of Brandon's best strengths, is he gets the ball out of his hand. I think that is you go in, we're not going to change what we do. What we do is kind of what we're doing. We're not going to mortgage the future, which means the rest of our season to have success in this game. I mean, we're going to do what we do, and our guys got to make plays. I think we've got the pieces to be a really productive, quality offense, regardless of who we're playing. We just got to go out and do it.
You mentioned the last couple of weeks getting more points on the board. That's what's
Yeah, it didn't happen the other night. How
do you work on that specifically in practice? Is there a way you can work on that?
Well, I mean, it all comes back to details. And that's what it is. I mean, in Akron and New Mexico State both, and I guess Alabama State to a certain extent, they did some good things. They did some different things against us that maybe they've shown on video, and they won some one-on-one matchups. But a lot of our mistakes were all self-induced. Holding penalties, drop passes, not getting the line correctly. Things that are just detail-oriented. We've got some experience on offense, but we're not necessarily a real mature team.
Executing on special teams can be a game changer.
Yeah.
What are you expecting from a player like Marcus Jones, coming in as a freshman into Death Valley, and if you could just also talk about kind of his growth so far this season?
Yeah, I think it's a really good point, because so many times in these types of games, special teams end up being the critical. And what happens is the depth that they have may be a little bit better than us or teams like us in our league. And that depth shows more on special teams than maybe it does on offense or defense. So we've got to be really careful in the return game. They've got their punt returners is their top wideout. He took two back for touchdowns on punt return against Chattanooga. One of them got called back. One of them stood as a touchdown. So we've got to do a great job on our coverage units on punt and kickoff, something we didn't do against Boise. And then Marcus, I mean, the biggest thing is he's got to field the ball. I think he's done a great job in the punt return when he's fielded the ball. But he's got to field it more consistently. Thankfully, the other night, he let the ball hit on the 22, and it rolls all the way to the 3. We overcome that with a touchdown drive, but that could have potentially been a huge play. That's 19 yards. That us not fielding it, that we had to start coming off our back with our quarterback was actually in the end zone taking the snap. So he's got to field it. My expectations are really high for him. I think he's got the potential to be not only a great punt returner, but a great kickoff returner as well.
There have been a lot of holds and penalties, especially away from him on the returns. Has that been a focus going into this?
Yeah, we're going to have to clean it up. I thought both the calls of the night in special teams were accurate. We had a hold on a kickoff return, got our hands outside, and kind of got our hands and didn't let go on a punt return. And those are disappointing. I mean, our guys know what to do. Again, it's attention to detail. You get your hands inside, and when the guy goes to separate, you got to let go. If you don't let go, that's a penalty. And we know that, and we just didn't execute it very well. And so, and those really changed the game field position wise. And we've got to continue to work on it. We'll continue to get better at it. And hopefully, we won't have that issue.
Coach, it may just be a Monday, but the vibe that I'm getting is you may not be super pleased.
No, no, yeah. Well, I mean that's probably accurate at some point. We're 3-1, and I don't think we're playing anywhere close to our potential by any means. I don't think we've played our best football in any phase. Our attention to detail is lacking. I'm disappointed in the penalties. Now, by no means do I sit here and think that 28 penalties, or I think it was upwards of 30, should have been called in that game. I mean, that's on the ridiculous side. But we were guilty of our fair share and too many. But we need to play more consistent. We need to pay more attention to detail. And we're either going to do that or LSU's going to do it for us. And so we're getting ready to go down and play one of the top teams in the country.
how does like this matchup maybe spark something in some of these guys? Do you think that could
Yeah, well, I think we had this discussion today. I don't think it matters who you play. When in football, it's such different dynamics than other sports. As you play, you're guaranteed 12 games. You may get a 13th in a bowl game, or 14 if you get into the playoff or whatever. But you got to get yourself ready to go. It doesn't matter if you're playing Alabama State, LSU. You better get yourself ready to go because, it's such the things that Division I football players got to go through now to play, from workouts and everything that goes into it. It's such a time demand. They got to be ready to go every week, and our guys are going to be excited just because it is LSU. It's one of the premier programs in the country. They're going to play in one of the premier venues in the country, so they'll have a little extra step in their, pep in their step on Saturday. Now, if we don't get that pep in our step until Saturday, it's not going to matter. It won't matter. Because the only way that we go down and have any chance of success is if we practice really well starting today. You know what I mean? If we practice really well today, and that means being consistent in our approach, preparing our minds, preparing our bodies, paying attention to details, we'll have a really good plan in place to give us a chance. And if we prepare, then we're going to go down there. But if we just think we're just going to show up and all of a sudden the energy in that stadium is going to ignite a fire in us, that's not going to happen.